We are episode 5 of the School of Fish. Today, I'm really excited to have one of my good friends in the football world come on and share his information. He is a former collegiate Division One quarterback. He has coached at the Division One level for the last 5, 6 years, and now he is a NFL scout for the Dallas Cowboys. My man, Derik Abbott. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Happy to be on here, and so good to be talking football with you, and man, just really fired up for this.
Yeah, dude. So you are now a scout for the Dallas Cowboys. Like I mentioned, can't stand the Cowboys, but I love you. Being a Niner fan, it's bittersweet, but it's so cool to see you at this level. I know your aspirations to be in the league have been there since you were young. You've always
hmm
kind of expressed that with me over the years, and now you're at the show and you get to do this at a very high level. Tell me a little bit what in without too broad of a question, what does it entail to be a scout, a quarterback scout in the National Football League?
it obviously helps to play the position, but just knowing what it's like to kind of be in that huddle and knowing what it takes, be able to. Everybody thinks it's you got to make all the crazy cool throws, you got to be like Patrick Mahomes, but really it's building the consistency on a day in and day out basis of just being the guy in the room that and then being able to operate in the huddle, right? That's such a big thing. But I mean, for me at least, like just being able to evaluate and see it and being around the position for so long and having a unique angle of used to playing the position, coaching the position, now being able to evaluate the position. Just being around it for so long and seeing like different angles of like, okay, well, know what that throw should feel like, know what the footwork should be like that on that throw, know what the process of reading on that progression should be. How fast is this guy processing this? Okay, well, can he do it? Can he do it on a consistent basis? Does he show that? Is he a function or a feature in his offense at the college level? There's just a bunch of things that go into it, and um, it's a lot of fun doing that because it's a different perspective of the position. Because now I'm not telling the guy, hey, I need you to off your fifth step, I need you to rip this, this whatever, this deep out route or something like that. Now I'm just watching like, can this guy do it? So that it's kind of unique. It's different.
So I always have this conversation with people, and do you think someone can scout the quarterback position or coach the quarterback position that has never played quarterback?
Yes,
But really do it? You do it? You think so?
Andy Reid's pretty good at developing quarterbacks. There's a lot of guys that are very invested in learning that position. I believe that anything that you really want to learn in life or anything you want to do in life, you can learn that skill, even if you didn't actually go do it yourself. Right. So, like Andy Reid was no offensive line guy. He had Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes and Donovan McNabb. He's got a pretty good track record of those guys. You know, Sean McVay was a receiver. Kyle Shanahan was a receiver. Those guys are pretty good quarterback developers. So it's just the time on task and being around the right people to learn the right things on the position. But it's definitely it's an art. It's it's not something that's you just learn overnight. You just okay, well, you throw this 10 yard out. No, it's okay. What's the footwork like? What are your angles of your arm on this throw to get around that right tackle? Like there's a lot of it's a science and it's also an art.
You talk a lot about feeling, and when you evaluate and you scout, you have that feeling,
hmm
that rhythm that you've put in over years, not only playing but coaching it. These
hmm
guys that have not played it, that feeling may not be there, but I would assume because they've been around football their whole life, just like you or me may not play receiver, because
Yep.
you're around the game, you probably know what it feels like to get an outside release as a receiver and work some hand-to-hand combat and just football guys are football guys. The quarterback
Yep.
position is obviously unique because you need to feel it. But if you are a
hmm
football guy and those guys that you mentioned, they can pull it off, which makes me feel like they know so much about football that even if they haven't played that position, how
Yep.
much of the just the psyche and the ins and outs of that game they are probably so in depth with.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's obviously it's a lot of time on task, right? It's around being the right people that are going to lead you the right way and teach you the game how it should be taught, right? I mean, everybody can lead anybody anywhere, but you sometimes go the wrong way. So it's surrounding yourself with the right people. Obviously, those guys have, and then they've obviously taken that knowledge and given it to their guys throughout the league, or even at the college level. I mean, like I said, there's plenty of guys that weren't quarterbacks that are ultra successful coaches. I mean, it's just a time on task and being able to do it on a consistent basis. And that's where you kind of get that feeling, right? Okay, I've seen this, I've built this Rolodex of guys that I've been around or, I've talked to, I've interacted with. I know what it should look like.
Right. As a scout, give me your top three things that you're looking for an NFL quarterback. If you're looking at a college guy coming out, give me your top three.
Probably consistency, accuracy, and just operation. In my opinion, I mean, you can coach a lot of things, but are you able to process like, or what is your college system asking you to do? And are you able to do it at a high level, right? So even if you're in one of these offenses that are only asking you to run three plays, right? Are you still doing that at a consistently high level? And are you accurate with the football and going to where you are supposed to go with the football every time? Like
Yeah.
you do that, like that you become very coachable, right? Because a lot of guys, I mean, okay, like this guy flashes, he's got all this arm talent, he's got, he can run, he can do this, but the number one thing in the NFL is consistency, and that's what we're always trying to find, and that's what coaches want too. Because if you don't have a consistent quarterback and you're a coach in the NFL, you're like, shit, I can't play this guy. I think I don't know what I'm going to get from him. If I don't know what I'm going to get from him, he might throw a touchdown, then two pick sixes, and then on Monday morning I'm fired.
Mm.
So you want consistency at that level and being able to operate in and out of the huddle, put the ball where it needs to go, and then the accuracy, because those windows are about this big in the NFL. Like they are small windows. So, but it's all tied in together: the consistency, the operation, and the accuracy.
What would you say to a guy like my guy Jalen Daniels? He's for the playing for the Bucks right now.
Mhm.
You go to rookie mini camp, you have a great showing, you put yourself out there, you're really operating, and then things get real where you got to start picking up that playbook and you're getting limited reps. How do you find a consistent rhythm when you are you're literally drinking from a fire hose? What would you tell these college guys coming in, trying to get on a roster who have the talent, have the
Yeah.
leadership, but they're trying to retain all that information? Like you can't bite it all at once. What would you say to guys like that, and how would you navigate them through that process?
Yeah, and I think it's honestly it's being the first in the building, last one to leave. It's doing the routine things like routinely. So it's being around guys that a little bit know the playbook a little bit more than you do, right? Ask the questions, because you could look at a Visio diagram and say, "Oh, okay, like I know what it is," but do you know the actual intricacies of the play, of how it flows? Hey, like okay, we got this seal concept here, or we have this flood concept. This number one, the most vertical receiver, that's like really never going to be open for our star guys, because that guy's really good over there. You know what I mean? It's consistently building that, and then obviously it's kind of finding your own flow, right? So not every quarterback's the same. Even in cadence, not every quarterback's cadence is the same. It's finding your own flow and rhythm and finding out what works for you,
Hmm.
and then being successful at that.
Hmm. That's interesting because you got to have your own flow and rhythm, but you're also trying to be a yes sir guy and cross every T and dot
Mm-hmm.
guy and to navigate being you, but also being able to
Yeah.
play within a system. There's trust that comes with that. And
Yep.
sometimes guys feel like they get stripped from being themselves because they're trying to fit within the system. And it always seems to be if you can get around that and overcome
Yeah.
that and then be yourself within the system, that's when success, you're really going to see yourself take off. But it's a tough dance to get there because you don't have a lot of
Yeah.
reps to get it to get that flow going.
Yeah, especially if you're the number three guy, like you might get like 10 reps in practice, if that. So it's being able to max. And I always hated this saying it's like, don't count your reps, count whatever, uh count how much what you make out of your reps, and I get that too. But I mean it's kind of true. But you might have whatever the script might have. It might be like four plays in your block, right? If they're four run plays, make sure that you carry out your fake, you are operating at a high level, and you are doing everything that the coach exactly wants you to ask for. Like we have Sam Howell, he's unbelievable. Like with just being able to operate and being able to just like everything just looks fluid. Everything looks great, and that's what a lot of guys like. Those if you're not Dak or you're not one of these top guys, and you're one of the the backup guys, whether you're two or three, being able to go there and operate at a high level will get people's attention and it'll keep you on a roster.
You mentioned Sam. Obviously, he's had some success early. He played really well with the Redskins. He's backing up Dak. How does someone
Mhm.
like Sam, who is obviously capable of playing at the league, still stay ready, prepared when he knows he's behind a franchise quarterback like Dak? And what are the differences and similarities that you can compare these guys to of like operation, but like what do you see in Dak that you feel makes him so special? And kind of how does Sam kind of find his way into the starting position again? Not necessarily for the Cowboys, but like back in the league.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with the Dak thing. So Dak's preparation is top notch. I mean, the way that he's first guy in the building, last guy to leave. Um, our quarterback coach does a great job with him as well too. Obviously, I mean, that's my guy. So, but the way that Dak can operate on a consistent basis, and he'll run that play clock all the way down to about 1 second, and he wants to get us in the best play all the time. So his pre-snap stuff is top notch, and it's actually very old school because a lot of guys now, I mean, it's whether it's tempo or you got two can calls and that's it. Dak would go through like three calls. It's nuts, man. Like he wants to get the protection right. He want to get, but that comes from time on task, playing the position, being around the right people, being coached by great coaches, and the intrinsic motivation to just learn. I mean, that's such a real thing. And then a guy with Sam, like it's being able to not do all the same things that Dak does, but being able to go in there and operate the offense. And like I said, the operation, the consistency on it, like doing it every time. So that's so real. Like that's the staying power of guys in the league. Of like it's consistency, it's being able to get guys in and out of the huddle, it's being able to get your guys in the right play.
Hmm. I love hearing that about Dak. Like it fires me up knowing someone that's seen the same, like you see so many of the same clips visually for so
Yeah.
many years where you can milk that clock to that 1 second and
Mm-hmm.
just give yourself the best opportunity to be in the best position.
Yep.
And that's mastering your craft right there. Not
Yeah,
once did
and
you
that's
mention you didn't mention arm talent. You didn't
yep.
mention how fast he was. You've been talking solely about operation and time on
Yeah.
task and having the want to of mastering a craft.
Yeah,
And
and it's this stuff from the head up too. I mean, like I said, our quarterback coach Shimko, Steve Shimko, he Shimmy does a great job with him. Like man, like just being able to hang around Shimmy and ask him questions and pick his brain on stuff, and then how that kind of how he moved, like how just watching him in practice, and then watching the guys behind him in practice, and it's yeah, you can tell that guy's a 10-year plus vet, and he obviously got to learn from Romo before that. Um, and I mean, you look at like Dak's progression throughout his career, right? How interesting is this? Like him coming out of Mississippi State, he was this dual threat quarterback. He's like, he's kind of a runner, like he's this big dude, and now he's like pure old school pocket passer. That's like the last of a dying breed.
yeah.
So it's crazy how that kind of shifts, but if you think like the longevity is the stuff from the neck up, it's knowing, hey, these guys are going to get to two invert on 2nd and 11 because I've seen it on tape so many times. This D coordinator likes to pressure on 3rd and short. It's all the stuff from that you can't basically see on there's no stop clock for it or there's no anything like that. It's just watching it.
What you can see with Dak, which I've always loved, is his base. He plays in such a good foundation with his feet from the beginning. And I've seen his footwork change over the years, right foot up guy,
Mm-hmm.
left foot up guy. But no matter what he does, he always ends up in a really balanced position with his feet. Reminds me a lot of Drew Brees over the years, where
Yep.
he lands, whether he's taking a 3, 5, even a 7, he plays with some
Mm-hmm.
really balanced bounce. Do you think that has a
Yeah.
lot to do with his rhythm and where when the ball's coming out?
Yeah, I mean that's all timing, progression within the play of what's being asked, going through his reads, right? Like you could tell, like he's going to move on to a different read and progression just by watching his feet. You don't even need to look at his head. He knows where he wants to go with the ball before. And so whenever I was coaching, I always use him and like Stafford and those guys that were really, really good lower body footwork guys. And I always thought that he had great foot. But yeah, you talk about the base, like, and then he has a little giddy up where he'll like kind of hitch up, and I'm like, oh, here comes the shot play to CD or GP. I'm like, oh, hold on to your hats, boys. Like, here we go.
Ah, bro, he still rips that thing, man. He freaking rips that
Oh
thing.
yeah, absolutely.
So, I did a little bit of digging on you. I didn't know this, but you wrote a thesis about the quarterback position back in 2018.
I
I
did, yes.
and I gotta say, it was now I didn't read all of it because it was like 70 pages, but I got the gist of it.
Yeah,
The hypothesis, your theory was that the quarterback position has gotten easier for these young guys coming out of college. Now, this was, 8, 9 years
yeah,
ago. And you had a few bullet points of why you thought these kids are getting ready or more prepared getting into the NFL. Do you still agree with that? And have you seen things at all change with that theory?
yeah. So yes and no, but so here's why I say yes, right? You have all this information out there on YouTube, you have access to trainers, you have hell, TikTok, like you can go watch tape now. You can go get all access to all 22 tape on NFL.com for whatever it is, $7 a month. You couldn't do that. You didn't have access to all this film. So instead of like watching Netflix, these kids can go home and they can go watch the AFC Championship game 3 years ago and go watch tape. Like they can do that. You couldn't do that whenever I was growing up.
Right.
And you got all these guys now that are trainers that have whether now they were either former players or whatever it might be, or former coaches that have gotten into the training space. Now these guys are getting taught like the game itself too, right? So they have more access to learning, and it's on them really. Like everything's out there for them. I will say that the one negative is that like some of the summer like 7-on-7 stuff, like these teams, and they're not coaching the position. That's where I think it's kind of hurt the position as well too. I think someone with the portal too and all that other stuff, like these guys are hopping around to different schools, and even at the high school level, like you get kids that my dad still lives in Orlando, and he works for Rydell, and he tells me that man, like, and I'm still friends with a lot of high school coaches down there too. And it's like these kids are jumping around everywhere, and I'm like, but you're not getting developed in a system anymore. So it's so microwavable. And it's like, okay, well, now we have to build a system for a year. This kid's going to go play 7-on-7 where he's going to go get a snap. He's not going to take a drop the entire time, and he's going to throw a dagger, and he's 3 feet away from the line of scrimmage. And then he gets to his season, and then we're going to have like 7 plays where we're not actually teaching the position. We just want to go execute these 7 plays because that kid might transfer because he's uber talented.
Mm.
So the development, I think, is being microwaved at times. So but all the information and all the training is out there for literally everybody.
I think that's spot on. I actually feel that it used to be, and this is my opinion, but this is what I see because I'm more college world. The jump from college to NFL was like trying to jump over a mountain. I feel now high school to college, these freshman kids,
Yeah.
they're not ready. They're not ready to go right away. Like
Mm-hmm.
and mostly for the reasons you just said. They've been told they're the best. They've never really dealt with
Mm-hmm.
adversity yet. When they get into these big programs, especially these 4 and 5 stars, they roll up into these big universities. You're not going to go beat out a guy that's getting paid $5 million a year right now. You're just not. Business,
Yeah.
you're not going to. So now you got to wait. And what's the one thing you just mentioned? Microwavable development. These kids don't know how to wait and develop. And it's not all their fault,
Yeah.
but they get antsy and they portal. And so now you're in a position where you're portal 2 or 3 times and you've maybe played 10 snaps in college football. And there's been no development, and you're waiting to see when your name
Yeah.
get called to get the chance. And you're hoping that your name and your stock is still up because of your high school career. And it's just a
Mm-hmm.
very tough situation to be in as a high school kid going into college, where if you're not the guy right away, are you willing to sit and wait? And on top of that, are you lucky enough to have a coach to stick around in the system to develop you, or is he getting poached the next year too? So
Yep.
I
The other thing too is that if you sit there and wait, right? Okay, this is my chance. I'm gonna come in the spring. Next thing you know, there's a 5-star coming in from he was the backup at Alabama that's now going to jump you because he's making more. So it's like, well, now what? You know?
Right.
So that's it's just it's wild. It's a little lawless, and I would say like now you're talking about like the jump from high school to college. I think the jump between college and pro football has actually that margin is has slimmed down a little bit because back in the day, I mean, like you remember, like the guys were like, "Oh my gosh, I got to get this whole playbook in, and I gotta, we're gonna bench you for a little bit, and then maybe we'll play you, and then." But there was like just so much that these kids just like couldn't comprehend, and the college game was so much different from the program. Now, I'm not saying that it's not because I still think they're very two different games, but I think these kids now are able to come into the NFL and have more success because there's coaching that says we need to kind of if we have a guy, we're not just going to have a system. The guy is the system. So
Mm.
what does he do best? And how do we maximize his talent? Because if this guy is a top 10 pick and he's, Lamar Jackson, I'm not going to sit here and go under center and run, the keeper stuff and the entire time. We're going to get in the gun. We're going to run some quarterback run game. So I think it's more quarterback friendly now than it's ever been before.
I see that too, and I think the old school way of you got to be fit this peg into a square is
Mm-hmm.
is done. Not that you don't need to be able to run a system, but I think you're
Yeah.
100% right. Like these,
Now, if you're the starter, they'll do that. If you're
yes,
the third string guy, you better learn that whatever the starter's doing.
100%. The more money you're getting paid, the more leverage, the more leash you have to. We're going to find a way to make it work for you.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I'm seeing that with like when Canales went in there with Bryce, like that was big because I think they were
Hmm.
trying to turn Bryce into like, there's guys that are more in the new school. It's like, hey, we got a guy. He may not
Yep.
be the 6'5" guy, but he can play if we get him into a comfortability and a rhythm. And I think that's really, really smart. And it gives
Yeah.
these guys an opportunity to actually, like you said, you got to be able to operate, but you also got to stay fluid and be in your own flow. Um,
Yep. And the
and
relationship between play caller and quarterback is probably the most important relationship in all sports. So whether it's the head coach or offensive coordinator, like that has to be a symbiotic relationship where you guys are on the same page that when that play call is coming in and like on 2nd and 11 and the quarterback's doing this and he hears, hey, strong right, and then he probably could turn around and go, I already know where he's going with this. Like it is kind of crazy. Like some of these guys, like being around them that they already know the call sheet. They already know what the head coach wants or the coordinator wants. And maybe that mic cuts out and like, oh, okay, I can't hear. I got it. I know exactly what you want. All right, let's go run it. But that's how important those relationships are.
And it's a lot of it's luck. We always talk
Hmm.
about who's going to be your play caller, what system did you land in, and that
Yep.
that marriage between a play caller and QB, which is always blows my mind when an OC or QB coach has a short fuse and he doesn't know how to communicate and keep a kid cool because it's like, dude, you got to be no matter how you can chew someone up, and if they screw up, obviously give them a what for, but in the confines
Yeah.
of 4 quarters we got to stay poised. And
Yep.
I've seen coordinators and coaches just lose their mind by the second quarter because a guy missed a throw. And I just have never understood
Yeah.
that type of coaching for that position. Um,
Yep. Got to
but
be able to move on. Got to be what's important and what's the next play. You got to move on. And you're working together, right? You're not ever working. That guy isn't working for you. You're working with him.
that's
That's
right.
all. That's always how I thought about it. I mean,
That's
hey,
right.
like whenever I was coordinator or whenever I was coaching quarterbacks, I'm like, hey, like you're not working for me. Like we're working together here. Like we both got to make this play. I got to give you the right call and I got to give you the right tools and everything. And you got to go execute. But this is a working relationship here. Like
Yes.
it's not, oh, you got to just do this. No, like we're working together here.
Right. There's a time and a place to light someone up. It's probably the QB room the next day, but
Yeah,
film room. But I always feel like within the confines of a game, like you said, man, this is we got to navigate this thing. It's a problem to solve. Let's
absolutely.
solve this together.
Yep.
Um, okay, before I let you go, bro, this has been awesome. So many good nuggets here. Uh, give me your your knowledge, being a former collegiate quarterback, former collegiate coach. What would you impart to a young quarterback going through the college world, trying to play at the next level? Obviously, Give me one from high school to college and college to pro. And we've talked a little bit about it, but and few as words possible. Give me some Derik Abbott wisdom here.
Oh man, the, keep getting up in the morning is the one thing I would say because it's not easy. There's going to be a lot of really, really dark and tough days. Like
Mm,
it's reality. We're like life is going to punch you in the gut numerous times. And there's going to be days where you're not going to want to get up. And you had a bad practice. You threw a bunch of bad picks. Your coach hates you. Your coach you just might have went to that school. Now he left and go took another job. Or you get injured. I've had injuries. I've had get to a spot where I'm like, oh man, I got my dream job now, and then we have a really shitty season, and then everybody gets fired. So, but you know what you got to do every morning is you got to keep getting up, and you got to keep make continuing on your purpose and what you want to do in life. So whether it's coaching, scouting, playing, but you want to go start at the P5 level, are you doing those things on a daily basis that are in alignment with what you want to do in life? But that starts with just getting up in the morning and just having the mindset to just go do it every day. So and from a person that's kind of been at every level, uh, played at the Division 1 level, like that wasn't a smooth ride at all. Had two different coaches. Hell, I think we had like 8 different quarterbacks start in 4 years. Two different coordinators. Ended up transferring, and then I get a knee injury that it basically ends my career. Get into coaching, and then I bounce around to different places. And COVID happens. I mean, it's just you just got to keep getting up every morning and all right, well, that happened, well, now what? So I think it's the resiliency of that position that, okay, I just threw a pick, but we got to come back the next drive.
mm.
So it's the same thing, right? So you might have thrown a pick early in the first quarter and you're down 7-0. Well, you still got 4 more quarters, dude. Like let's bring this thing back in together. So it's just the consistency of doing that every day. And then if you keep doing that, you keep outwork everybody, you keep getting out, because there's going to be a lot of people that won't get up there, but like, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm gonna sleep in. I'm not going to do anything today.
Mm.
There's a lot of people that'll do that. If you keep doing that, you'll outlast a lot of people.
I love that. That's simple. Keeps it simple, man. Just get up and get after it, man. I love that. Dude, this has
Yeah,
been awesome, man. This has been awesome. Thank you. I know you're about to go hit a family reunion. Have a blast.
yeah, we'll do.
That's awesome. And I'm gonna see you this summer in Oxnard, pal.
Sounds good. I can't wait. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, dude, it'll be really good to see you, bro. Always. All right, brother. Have a
All
good
right,
one,
man.
man. Thank you so much for jumping on.